For everybody who does not know me on the call, my name is Jessica Norigian, and I am the Associate Product Manager here at Nova Biomedical. Before we get started, I did want to jump in and discuss a little bit about who Nova Biomedical is and what we offer. So we are a leading developer of scientific and diagnostic instruments, consumables, and services. So Advanced Instruments and Nova Biomedical merged and made a better company that provides a wide variety of services, consumables, and instruments to both the clinical and the biospace. We are a global leader in osmolality testing and whole blood biosensor development, and one of the world's largest, fastest growing diagnostic companies. We have a global reach with serving over 120 companies, where we have both direct sales forces as well as dealers and distribution partners all over the world. We also have R&D, manufacturing, commercial service support across the globe. In the clinical lab, we are pretty much everywhere. So anywhere from osmolality to CSF cell counting, all the way to point of care, outpatient. And then we also have liquid handling, verification, and bacterial cultivation. So today, we will be focused on the Anoxomat III anaerobic jar system, but please feel free to reach out if you have interest in any of our products. We have knowledgeable and talented sales specialists who may be able to help you. For the purposes of today, I do have Jamie Rich on the line. She is our microbiology sales specialist. She will also be manning the chat. So if at any point throughout this presentation, anyone has a question, please feel free to pop it in the chat. I will be manning both of the cameras as well as the demo, so she's going to be my right-hand man today. So jumping right into the Anoxomat. As most of you on this call probably know, the importance of identifying anaerobes and identifying anaerobes correctly. Just a few to note here on the screen. I'm sure you've seen these a time or two in the lab, but they can range anywhere from a UTI, swimmer's ear, all the way to intra-abdominal abscess. So there is an importance and an emphasis on ensuring that anaerobes are grown both rapidly, reliably, and you can have the diagnosis in hand to your physicians. That way it can lead to a proper and timely diagnosis for the patients. Why is it important? Most of you on the call already know that there are microorganisms that can cause very serious conditions and could be associated with mortality. And so it's important to ensure that patients are receiving the correct anaerobic infection diagnosis and then be prescribed to the proper antibiotic. And the Anoxomat III is a wonderful option for this because it gives you a timely identification, and it will also give you a reliable identification for these anaerobes. So key features before we jump into the demo is, it achieves environments within minutes. It ensures that enhanced growth of all bacterial strains. And the nice part about it is it's just one comprehensive system, eliminating costs of purchasing multiple systems consumables. And it's super compact for the lab, which we all know that there is limited landscape in the lab. So being able to do a lot with a little bit of space is always a great and attractive selling point for customers. So with that, I'm going to switch my screen. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to switch over to the Anoxomat, and so everyone will be able to see it on my screen. We're just backtracking technology. But anyway, I'm going to step into the camera, and I'm going to go over the Anoxomat system. Hi, everybody. So thank you for joining again. So behind me here is our Anoxomat III anaerobic jar system. And what I have here is a variety of accessories as well as the instrument. So I'm going to go through all of them individually. When you would purchase an Anoxomat system, you are going to get the Anoxomat instrument. The nice part about the Anoxomat is it's super customizable for your lab. You can have up one jar, one gas, all the way up to 4 jars and 3 gases. The combinations vary, and Jamie can definitely be able to tailor a specific option based on your clinical lab's workflow. But there really is a lot of customization and flexibility with this instrument system. So looking behind me, we have a variety of consumable accessories as well as our consumable. So on this side of the instrument, we have our standard acrylic jars. So we have two sizes for those, the small and then the large. The nice thing we also have about those as well are there are Petri dish holders that go inside of the jars specific to the jars to organize your plates to make sure that nothing gets moved around. On this side, we have our newer jars, which are our ergonomic jars. I'm going to hold it up. Again, Petri dish holders that go in these. This holds 12 plates. The one behind me, the larger of the two, holds 24 plates. The nice thing about these jars are they were designed in this peanut-shaped configuration to allow for space saving. And the nice part about them is you can also stack them in your incubator. And they're kind of lock into place. There is no locking mechanism, but they fit really nicely so they won't fall. They're very easy to clip the gas connection on and off. And for the demo today, I will be utilizing this jar so everyone can see that. We also have a add-on, which is our printer as well as our barcode scanner. That comes in super handy if you were to purchase the track and trace software feature. And I will go into a bit more detail on that, what that is. But essentially, it's going to give the lab additional visibility of what's in the jar, and then there's all different features and settings on that. But it's really nice for labs who want to have additional visibility in tracking what's in the jar, who ran that recipe, and so on and so forth. So it's a really great add-on feature. You can also do the user registration, which allows you to set up additional users. All of that I will jump into. Lastly, we have our Paladox, which is our single-use palladium sachets. They are going to be utilized for our anaerobic recipes. And the nice thing about the jars over here on this side is inside the ergonomic jar is a really nice little slot for the Paladox. So you can slide it right in here so if you were to do an anaerobic recipe. And then depending on the size jar, will determine if you're going to do 1 or 2 sachets on the ergonomic. And then you can do up to 3 sachets in the largest jar on the standard. So I'm going to put the lid on this. I am going to step out of the screen for a second and I'm going to hop right into the user interface. And what that's going to do is I'm going to go over some setting features and you're going to really see how easy it is to look at to maneuver the interface. So everybody can see the screen. So all of the instruments come with a handy stylus, which is really, really nice. And what that's going to do is it's going to help the navigation on the instrument. So when you turn the instrument on, this is going to be your main screen. You're going to have on the left side recipes. On the right, you will see the active recipe. On the bottom will be a few features, program recipes, as well as the setup feature, the setup menu. The setup menu is where all of the settings will be housed. Each instrument is going to also come with a specific code, which they are all the same. So I'm going to input that, hit OK. And here you are given a main screen. So as you can see on this screen, it's going to show you the instrument serial number, the specific configuration. So in this particular instrument, it's 3 jars and 2 gases. It shows the gas breakdown. And then on the bottom here, there are going to be some additional settings and features that you can utilize. Language, pretty self-explanatory. Date and time. And then here we get into a couple of the features where they are add-ons, but to be perfectly honest, I think they're extremely beneficial add-ons, especially if you have multiple technicians who are going to be running these recipes on a given day. So the first one I'm going to hop into is the registration screen. So we are come to the registration screen. You can choose your lab ID and then your department ID. This will stay the same unless you change it. And then you have 2 features underneath. You will not see the jar setup if you do not purchase the track and trace feature. We will go into that second, but I do, and also the registered users as well. Those are both add-on features, but today I do want to kind of give you a full comprehensive overview of the instrument. So I'm going to dive in to the registered users first. Once you hit on the registered users, you're going to see this screen pop up. It is extremely simple and straightforward when you are going to add and delete a user. So I'm already in here and I have a little numerical code as my identifier. So I'm going to add one more person. I'll add Jamie. And then the user code, I'm going to put 2 for her and I will press submit. On the left side, you will see all of the registered users. Where the code is going to come in handy is if you were to purchase the track and trace, that person is going to then have to input their code before running a recipe. It just allows for additional traceability. So say Jamie decides she wants to take a supervisor position and she's no longer on the bench. And so we're going to remove Jamie from the instrument. So on the left, you see registered users. You're going to just simply select her name and you're going to remove her. Yes, and that's it. So you can add as many as you want, remove them super easily, and then we're going to close out here. And so that is extremely easy, straightforward, no additional steps. You really just have that unique identifier per technician and can add them and remove them as easily as that. If you were to purchase the track and trace, as I mentioned, that's where the barcode scanner as well as printer would come in handy. You would go under this jar setup menu. Here you are given a lot of different features. And what's really nice about this, again, you can do as many or as little as you'd like. So for this one, I have already selected a few. And so I'm going to select the jar ID, which means you would scan the ID and the barcodes on the jar. So that way it's going to show up on the printout. I also am going to keep the sample ID selected. And that's important because if you have different patients' samples in the same jar, you can keep track of those IDs as well. And then the last thing that I use that I think is super helpful is the incubation time. And so you'll see that on the printout of what it looks like and what that incubation time that you set will be. So say, okay, these are great. These are the settings that I want to do. And so you're going to then close out, say I were to, this is my first time doing it. You're going to close. That would also prompt you to save that. So now we're going to close out again, close out again. We're back on that setup screen. I will say a lot of these settings on the bottom are primarily for our technicians and our service techs. This is a very easy to navigate instrument. There's very few screens that you need to be a part of. And so that's something that's extremely helpful when it comes to training technicians, training staff, and ensuring everybody can properly run a recipe. So I'm going to close out of that. And so that's one of the features for this software add-on, which is our track and trace. The other software add-on, which it can be really cool and interesting, is the customized recipe feature. So a lot of labs that utilize this are labs who may be doing research studies, labs who want to have their not standard run-of-the-mill recipes. You have the ability to create custom recipes. And so I'm going to show you what that screen looks like. So on the left here, as I mentioned, you have the microaerophilic recipe and the anaerobic recipe. Those both come standard with the instrument. When you want to get into capnophilic or custom recipes, you can purchase the add-on feature, and that's where the program recipes is going to be. On the left side is going to be all of the saved recipes in the instrument. So for example, this instrument's got quite a few pages worth of recipes. Where it gets really fun is if you were to go into a recipe, you can either keep the recipe on or you can disable it. So say you used it for a portion of time, no longer need to utilize it, but still want to store it in the instrument, you can disable that. And at any point in time, disable, make it active again, and then that you can utilize that recipe. You can also delete it as well. But what you're going to see here on the left is, like I said, everything that is saved, and then you can click on the middle button, which is the new recipe. So what you can do here is you can name it, and then you can use this toggle button on the these toggles on the bottom to really create what that custom recipe looks like based on the jar, gases that you have available in your lab. And as you can see here, it gives you the exact breakdown, and then it's going to give you the exact percentages as well. So you are going to have exactly what you need for that recipe, and then you would just go to close and you would save it. I'm not going to save it for the purposes of today. But as you can see here, there's a lot of memory. And I'm sure that there's customers out there who would utilize multiple pages, but for the vast majority of labs, the microaerophilic anaerobic are pretty standard. But again, like I said, the customized recipe option is helpful for labs with that for that flexibility. So I am going to step out. I'm going to change the screen. So I do want to show everybody what it looks like to connect the jar and run a recipe. So for the purposes of today, because we don't have an external gas connection in our demo room, today I will be running a microaerophilic recipe, which takes about 3 minutes in total. If you were to run an anaerobic, it takes about 5 minutes in total. Perfect. Okay, so now you have a high overview of the instrument, so I can show you exactly what it's going to look like when I connect the jar and it put the in. Then I will go back to the other screen so then you guys can see what it looks like to run the recipe. So here's the jar, and say you have all of your samples ready to go, and you're going to put them in the jar. And so you've got them nicely organized here with the Petri dish holder. You've got a few on each side, and you're ready to run a recipe. You put the lid on. With our ergonomic jars, they have a really nice click in place, so you're going to know that jar lid is secured. And then you're going to take one of your hoses. So for the purposes of today, I will take this one. And so I'm going to connect it. And when you go to connect it and you put it in this little slot, you're going to hear the black metal tab click up. That lets you know that the jar is secure to the hose. When you go over to the instrument, you're going to select the microaerophilic and you're going to press start. And then what I'm going to do too is I'm going to switch back to the rest of the user interface so you guys can see what the recipe looks like when it's ran, because that's going to be really cool to see. So here is where that unique identifier comes in. And so for me, because I'm the only user that I have included, I put in my code and I press start. And so it's going to go through a series of checks. So the first one is going to be the gas pressure check. And what you're going to see is it's going to give you a green check. It's going to show you the pressure. And then it's also going to identify which jar is connected. The reason 2 and 3 have red X's is because I simply used one hose. I didn't use the 3. Here's where it gets cool, because this is that track and trace feature. So you're going to scan the jar ID with our barcode scanner. It's going to populate. Then you're also going to scan a sample ID. For the purposes of today, I'm just going to scan one of the little barcodes I have in my demo room. And lastly is that incubation time. So here we'll put 40. And then as simple as that, we're going to press start. And then it's going to continue to go through the QC process. So this in total, I'd say with the track and trace feature, it adds a couple of extra steps. It may be longer than 3 minutes, but still within 5 minutes, you will have loaded the contents of your jar, set everything up, ran the recipe, and then you'll get your green light to put it in the incubator. As the Anoxomat goes through each cycle, on the top, it will also walk you through what cycle it is going through. With the Anoxomat, you are going to have multiple QC checks. So right away, before you take that jar off of the gas connection, you're going to know if that environment was created correctly or not. If it wasn't, you can redo it, diagnose and see what went wrong, but you're going to get, in a perfect world, all green check marks across this. So if you were to be doing 2 and 3, it would also go through the process for that as well. You will not see on the microaerophilic recipe, however, the catalyst check, because that is specific to the anaerobic recipe. It will not be checking for the catalyst. So for this, like I said, it's about 3 minutes, and you're going to do the leak test, the seal test, and then it's going to indicate if it's ready or not. So with other competitors on the market, you have to wait a little bit longer to see if the indicator strip were to have turned. So this is extremely quick, but it's also reliable. So you're going to create exact environments repeatedly. And so you have that peace of mind to know that when you set the Anoxomat to microaerophilic, it's going to generate that recipe. Once you get that green check, throw it in the incubator, and then your environment begins, and then you can start to grow your anaerobes. As I mentioned, if there is a red X, you're going to know why that red X happened. And so then we can diagnose it, and then we can, assess based on that. So once this cycle is complete, I'm going to switch the screen. I'm actually going to do that now so you can see how cool the printout is. So now that everything is ready and we got the green light, you're going to get a printout. And so that printout is going to show you the date, the time, the technician who ran that, and then the sample ID. And then that incubation time is also going to show you that 48 hours. And then what you're going to do is you're going to remove as easily as pressing down on these little black tabs, removing the gas hose. And a lot of labs who utilize this will put that printout on the jar, put it in the incubator, and begin, baking away. So it's a really nice feature. It really is an add-on, but a lot of labs who have a higher workflow do find that it is beneficial. And so, with that, I think I'm trying to think of, from the software features and running the recipe, that's really what you're going to get out of this instrument. It is easy to utilize, it is easy to navigate, and you're also going to get the customization that you need for the lab. And like I said, it could be a smaller workflow where you've got the 1 jar and 1 gas, and all the way up to the 4 jars and up to 3 gases. So really that flexibility is there. It also gives you the opportunity to cut down on your lab workflow. So you can efficiently grow your anaerobes, and then you can obviously allocate your staff to other tasks, or, just keep growing. So I'm going to stop for one moment. I'm going to pause. Jamie, do you think there's anything else super beneficial that I should cover before, if there are any questions and answers?
No, Jess, I think you've done an amazing job. And there is a question regarding a jar, but I'm having that discussion with Arlene right now. But no, there's no other questions at this time. So great job.
Awesome. And so this was recorded. And so if there are any questions that pop in the chat after, we have everybody's contact information and Jamie can follow up with you. But everybody will also get a link to the recording. And then if there are any additional requests for smaller demos with your hospital, I'm happy to facilitate that, have Jamie on the line as well. But really, Jamie is the expert in this instrument, and she is amazing at what she does. And so please feel free to reach out to her. So Jamie, if you haven't done so, definitely pop your info in the chat, so then that way everybody has your email. And again, like I said, it's a wonderful instrument for your microbiology workflow, and it really will provide the lab with the efficiencies that you all need. So with that, I'm going to stop talking and see if anybody has any last minute questions. And I will just hang out for a minute or two. If so, we'll answer them. If not, then I can let everybody go.
Did you want to show the track and trace feature a little better, like where you scan the jar? Did you want to do that?
I can do that again. So what I'll do is let me keep it in this angle, because I did. So with the track and trace feature, I really wanted everybody to see the user interface. But then I also will do it in that way as well. So I'm going to step back into the screen, and then let me actually go into the big mode so everybody can see me. And then I can show you what it looks like to scan the jar. Perfect. Okay. So this is all set to go. Okay. So say we're going to start over again. So if you're here and you're going to go to your microaerophilic recipe, again, we're going to press start, and we're going to connect to the jar, and we're going to put that user code in. So my user code would be 1, press start again. And then it's going to go through that cycle. And then what you'll see is it will prompt you to scan the content, scan the jar ID, and then scan the sample ID. So this is where it's going to go through the pressure check. And then it's going to pop up and it's going to say jar ID. So I'm going to grab my scanner. I'm going to scan my jar. For the purposes of this, I'm just going to use this barcode, but in a perfect world, you would scan multiple samples before, proceeding on. I'm going to do that. And I will hit the 48-hour incubator time. And then I'm going to press start again. And then it's going to go through the cycle. So the nice thing about this feature is it will walk you through every step. So scan the jar, scan the samples, and then do the incubation time. Again, incubation time is not a requirement. I just think it's a really nice feature to show everybody. So you can do as little as jar contents and then the jar ID. Other than that, everything else is completely customizable. You can do as much or as little as you'd like, but it's as simple as that. And then as this happens and you get that green light, this will print out and then it will show you all of the information that is going to be in that track and trace. So everything that you enabled will be on that printout.
And you can also, you have the ability, and with a track and trace, whenever you purchase that, it comes with a USB. So you can put the USB in the back of the instrument and download all that data and put it into your computer as well, if that's beneficial for you too.
So yep, that's going to go through one more time, and then you will all be able to see it print out. This is our dot matrix printer. We also have a thermal printer as well. And so, yeah, and so like I said, it's about 3 minutes total with the track and trace. It will be a little bit longer just with those couple of added extra steps, but all in all, still well within that 5-minute time frame. The anaerobic takes about 5 minutes because a couple of extra steps, but either way, you're going to get an efficient result, and you're going to know either way if you achieved the environment you wanted to achieve or not. So that's the great thing about Anoxomat is kind of set it, forget it, go back to it, and then you put it in your incubator and go on with your day. So very, very easy to utilize.
And Arlene's asking lots of fabulous questions. Jess was talking about this instrumentation being customizable, and it 100% is. But if you purchase the instrument and let's say you only get a 1-jar connection and you realize later on, hey, our volume's increased, and being able to do the evacuation and fill on 2 jars at the same time would be great. That is an added feature that can be added on later on. The same thing with the track and trace. It is much easier to purchase those items if you're purchasing initially, but those items can be added later on. The caveat to that is that the instrument would have to be shipped back to our headquarters in Norwood, because that does require some little software add-ons that they have to do, and then they would add those other features to it as well. In that time frame, you could get an Anoxomat loaner if you need to, but it would require that the instrument be shipped back to Norwood, those things taken care of, and then shipped back to you. So.
Great point, Jamie. And actually, while you were bringing up shipping it to Norwood, one thing that I did not mention and I would love to touch upon really quickly is this is a very easy to maintain instrument, meaning we recommend pretty much annual preventative maintenance, and then there's a little bit of maintenance on the jars itself. But other than that, it's a fairly straightforward instrument, very little required from the labs from a day-to-day basis to clean, to maintain. So just please keep that in mind as well. So easy to maintain and service. So if it does go down, it's usually an easier fix. And like I said, if not, we can have you send it back to our Norwood facility. As Jamie mentioned, we can get you a loaner. But either way, when you look at other competitors on the market, this is definitely one of the easier to maintain and service instruments. And we have very, very, very knowledgeable technicians who answer my questions every single day. So
mine
very
as well.
knowledgeable.
I think your print off came out. I don't know if you want to show that to everybody.
Absolutely. Yep. So the printout here, let me see if I can get close enough to the camera without scaring everybody. So as you can see, you go from the top all the way to the bottom. It's got the contents, it's got the user info, the type of recipe, the incubation time. And so here, this is a nice printout, and then it will also give you the QC check. Put it in the jar handle, and then you're good to go.
We have some that put it in the jar handle, and we have some that also like put it in a folder next to the instrument as well. It's just whatever fits your needs. Make sure that you're compliant with your governing body.
And then once you want to exit out of the screen, if you had ran the recipe, you simply press start. When in doubt, press start. It will get you back to that main screen, but very easy to navigate. Not many instruments just have a stylus and a start button nowadays. So, but it does the trick, and it gets, you guys reliable and rapid results. So, Jamie, are there any other questions in the chat?
Arlene, golly, she's asking, is it necessary to still put an indicator strip in the jar? It is not necessary, because you will know within 5 minutes or 3 minutes, well, 5 minutes in this case, whether you've reached that ideal anaerobic environment. But we still have customers, just because that is what they're accustomed to, they still will use an indicator strip. So that's really a preference for you and your facility. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, I figured you must be a user. Yeah. So it is just for a comfort level for the technician, the technical staff, 100%. Yeah. I have them that do and have them that don't. So it's just up to you. So Lindsay is asking, if the clamps for the ergonomic jars tend to get loose, is there replacement or repair available for these issues? I used to use another brand, and that was frustrating that the jars become useless over time. So Lindsay, know that our jars have a 1-year manufacturer warranty. So in that first year of you purchasing those jars, if you have any issues, we will give you new ones at no charge. But we do have the pieces and parts for the jars themselves. You can purchase just the lids, you can purchase the clamps, you can purchase the seals, and that's for the ergonomic jars. And then for the standard acrylic, you can purchase the lids, you can purchase the white bar, you can purchase the little screw clamp on the top, the little screw clamp on the bottom. So you can purchase all of those separately to kind of save on the cost of the jars. And the biggest thing with the jars is you need to make sure that you are doing the maintenance that is kind of required. Kind of each one of them kind of do their own thing, but that's kind of helpful as well.
Yep, that will give you, I was just going to say that, Jamie, that will give you the most longevity for the jars. You will get a detailed printout depending on the jars that you purchase with instructions on the maintenance. It's not kind of a guessing game. We will make sure that you're equipped for that. But as Jamie said, we stand by the jars, and they're pretty robust. I will say that.
Lauren, you're 100% correct. This instrument does not identify the organism. It just gives you the ideal anaerobic environment to help those organisms grow quicker and bigger. And we hear from customers all the time that they are identifying different organisms that they've never identified before using our system. But no, it does not. It just creates the environment. And once you get finished doing this environment, then you put it in the incubator, and then you're still the technical staff is still going to have to look at each individual plate and work them up just like you do now. Great questions, folks. I love it. So Are there any other questions?
Perfect. And like I said, we do have everybody's contact information from registration. So everybody will get a recording via link. And so if you have any additional questions that may pop up after the session's ended, please feel free to reach out to Jamie and also visit our website. You can also request a quote on there as well if you're interested.
Yeah, I did put my email in the chat too. So if you guys need that.
Awesome. And Jamie covers all of North America. So
it's me.
Busy, but she is a pro, and she'll get you exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for taking the time to join us today. So with that, I will let everybody go, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.